Today's guest is Nouran, the Terminator, Gohar, and you're a world champion, world number one, and 4 times US Open champion in squash. And I don't know what else human wants to win in this life, but like you keep going, and you're such an inspiration, I'm sure, for not only the squash athletes, but also for women or overall athletes around the world. And people like me who have never had the chance to win such an insane amount of tournaments and be number one in my sport, I'm always curious to pick up like, what do you have that some others don't? And so let's start with, how did you start with squash?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me and such a beautiful introduction. The reason why I started squash is because I just wanted to be with my dad on court. I played other sports. I played gymnastics, swimming. I did a lot of sports, ballet, handball, but the reason why I wanted to play squash was to spend time with my dad. That was the main reason and the only reason at the beginning. And then when I went and jumped on court with him, I just loved the idea of running around the ball. I found like joy and happiness in the court. And it was just a game, literally a game for me at that time. And I hated swimming and gymnastics as well because it was very tough and it's all about numbers. You're not playing with someone or against someone or with a friend. It's only against yourself. So as a kid, when you're 7 or 8 years old, you don't really understand that. Whereas like in fencing or squash, you have someone in front of you and you can interact. So I felt like this was the difference that I felt with squash, and obviously being with my dad as well, I just wanted to spend more extra time with him and have have something that is bonding us even more, and it was squash. Funny enough, my mom and uncle were table tennis champions. Like my uncle actually competed in Seoul 1988. So it would have made sense that I play table tennis, but my dad wanted to take me in the corner of squash. So yeah, I just decided to play squash because of that.
I think you were going to be a great athlete no matter which sport you did. But did you try to play against your mom and uncle for like table tennis?
I did a couple of times, but it didn't intrigue me as much as squash. Like, I don't know if it's purely because I love my dad
Yeah.
and I wanted to be with him and his friends, or it was more the nature of the game itself, like hitting the ball against the wall and moving around the ball. I just liked the idea, but it was a big challenge because I was quite old compared to other Egyptian girls, and in Egypt, it's a very tough competition because there's a lot of great players. So if you kind of start a bit older, it's quite challenging. But I just didn't care at that time about results. I just liked being on court. I was like, I'm just gonna do it because I love doing it.
I was checking yesterday, and the first top three are from Egypt, and I'm
Yes.
like, those girls are good. So it's like a national sport in Egypt, right?
So it wasn't. So it started maybe around 1990s. We had a big tournament. Actually, I'm playing this tournament next week. They put the glass court in front of the pyramids,
That's
Giza pyramids.
amazing.
So it's amazing. So that was a big thing in Egypt at that time, especially. And we had only one player, Egyptian player, representing Egypt. And at that time, he would get to the final, and he was world number two. His name is Ahmad Baroda. So he was like kind of the Mo Salah, but in squash, and no one knew squash before him. And all the top 10 guys, like now, used to go and watch him when they were 6, 7 years old. So when you have this icon in front of you and you go and watch him, and one day you want to become like him, it's big. So that was on the guys' perspective. For the girls, it never happened until 2015. We had the first ever Egyptian woman winning, being world number one and winning world championships, and that's very recent times. I mean, so that's like nearly 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. But funny enough, now the Egyptian women are much stronger than the Egyptian men. Whereas in the past, there were no like tour for the women even. Like the women used to play with the man in tournaments, in local tournaments. They weren't separated. There was not a lot of women playing like 50 years ago or anything. But now it's like actually they always say there is no problem in the Egyptian woman. We have a problem now in Egyptian. Although obviously we have the Egyptian, like the word number one is Egyptian, but I
Yes.
mean the depth is not the same. Like in the
Mhm.
women's side, it's a lot more.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I think in every sport, pretty much the men started first and way
Yes,
later on the women. Same thing for
yes.
women's saber. I used to fence foil, and then years and years later, there was a women saber at the Olympics, and I think that's like everything in life. But did you? When did you really thought about it? I can be actually really good at this.
Okay, so thankfully I had a great coach when I was young. I started winning national tournaments. We have something called the British Junior Open, which is like World Cups in fencing. I won a couple of ones. So I was a very good junior, and I would be playing like in the age group above me and compete with them. But the point where I really, really thought, okay, now it might be a job, quote unquote, as they say, or something that I want to pursue, was when I won my first World Junior Championship in 2015. So I was 17 at that time, just finished high school. And it was tricky because I was in Egypt. I actually studied in a French system, so I got offered. I was a good student, but I got offered like scholarships in France. But if I would go to France, then squash would be over. And then same as any sport in the US, if you're good enough, there's Ivy schools that reach out and they want you to come. But at that time, the US wasn't strong at all in squash, and it would mean the same. Like if I would go to the US, and funny enough, I'm I'm based in the US now, but at that time it would mean like my career would be over. Uh, and I didn't really know what to do. And I was already playing on the senior circuit. I was world number 19. But then a week after winning my first World Juniors in Holland, it was I went to China. I played a gold event, and then I beat Nicole David. She was a legend of our game, and she was my own idol. Like I had her pictures hanged on my wall, all over my walls, and she was nine years world number one and 8 times world champion, and I beat her. And
Wow.
this match was, until today, is the one that I will always remember because you literally beat your idol and you're standing
Absolutely.
there. You don't know how this happened even. I remember calling my mom. She was in Egypt, calling me back, and I'm like, "Hey, I won." She's like, "You lost. It's okay." I'm like, "No, I won." And she's like, "No, you lost. Okay, it's fine. Don't worry. Don't cry. It's okay." I'm like, "No, I literally won."
That's
Because
funny.
Nicole was just so dominant. She wouldn't even lose a game at some point in her career. So to beat her was a big deal. And I remember like it was all over the news in Egypt, and I was just this kid, 17 years old, like not understanding what's going on. And then I knew, okay, maybe I can be a good player.
Yeah. But I feel, do you feel like, because we're always paying attention to when it's a healthy relationship between the athlete and the sport and unhealthy, and when they put so much pressure on themselves, because
Yes.
sometimes the parents don't put that pressure. And from all your stories, I'm finding that you just had fun. Even from the beginning, you just wanted to have fun. You didn't put like that much pressure. I have to win. I have to do this. It's kind of, you may have a goal, but it's not the have to. Am I correct?
I always, even actually now, since I got older, so I talk to my parents a lot because I love the approach that they have. My parents, it was never about the results, never ever. But they were very harsh when it came to my performance. When it came to I'm not giving my 100% on that day. Like I remember a lot of times I would lose matches, and the first people that are like my mom is like, "Good job, you did great." And she's not doing this because she's seeing me upset or anything. No, she's like, "I know you did your best. I know what you are going through. This is amazing, bro." And I would win matches, and they would be like giving me very hard time and telling me this is so bad, being so harsh because they felt I was a bit lazy with my movement or my technique wasn't there. In squash, for example, we have something called soloing. So it's just you and the ball, and you're practicing solo practice. And a lot of kids don't like to do this. I would be like spending hours doing that, 3, 4 hours every day, and my parents watching me. So yes, it was about having fun, but it was also about discipline. Like my parents, not only in sports, like in everything, it's like if you do your best, results is like they always told me the hardest part is training. Tournament is where you just go and express yourself and enjoy it, and but the hard part is the training, and you need to be very disciplined, and you need to give it everything. So I think that's why results were never an issue for me. But I feel like you put pressure on the results, but you're not doing the work or you're not doing enough work, then this is the issue. And I always say it, uh, for someone, for an athlete, you will never find a successful athlete or someone that get to the very top of the game without having the push of the parents. Obviously, the coach and everything, but the parents have a major role. And like you're saying, it has to be healthy. There is a fine line between being too pushy and getting, for example, I see parents, they're taking the role of the coach sometimes, and they're like talking technical and stuff. This is not right. But the role of the parent is to be supportive. That's why we call it being supportive, educating the kids on and off, like the sports field. Like, okay, you need to be disciplined, you need to be committed, you need to have rules, you need to follow the rules. But at the same time, when it's a break, it's a break. We don't talk about sports anymore. So I feel this balance. I always tell my parents, I don't know if you were aware of this, but I'm very grateful that you raised me that way, because I'm 28 now. I've been doing this sport for nearly 20 years, and thankfully, I don't hate it. Whereas I see people after 5 years, they just want to leave the sport. So, yeah, and my dad used to always tell me sports is a major part of your life in general. Whether you're competing professionally or after you retire, you still need to go to the gym and take care of your health, because at the end of the day, you're doing sports to be healthy.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you want to be successful, but health is very important too.
Absolutely. You said so many good things, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Now I'm gonna kind of try to track back. So one thing I love that you said that the parents should be supportive, but never take the role of the coach.
Yes.
Because so I get to experience both sides of coaching. One when I'm with my kids, and one when I'm
Yes.
with my
Oh,
athletes.
that's
It's a
hard.
very fine line for us because my son is always telling me, when you're coaching me, I feel like you're mad at me because you're my mom.
Yeah.
And I cannot make a difference between you, the coach, and you, the mom. And I say, well, Nicholas, we have to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
many times I'm telling him, let's say he loses a bout on tournament and he's super upset. And I'm coming to him and I'm like, it's okay. Because I know they
Yeah.
put effort. I can
Yeah.
read that
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, so you're proud of me now that I lost? So you just think I'm like, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I love the effort you put and I'm giving you credit for it. So when I'm giving
That's a
you
very
credit,
sensitive position. That's a very
it's a
sensitive.
very
Yeah.
weird thing. And sometimes he wins the bout, but I'm like, you know what? But we gotta fix this and this and
Fix
that. So
this. Yeah.
but also he's 13. We have an older son who he cannot complain about the pressure because we have never, ever, ever put any pressure on
Fresh.
him. But I said effort. So
Yes.
we pay for you to do something you enjoy. I want to see effort.
Yes.
I don't care if you win or you don't win. And he has a
Exactly.
very healthy relationship with the sport. The other thing that you mentioned, and we speak about kids all the time and athletes, everybody wants to be the best. That's what they're saying. But they
Yes.
don't want to miss the parties. They don't want to do the annoying exercises. They don't want to sacrifice. And I was thinking this morning, I probably can interview 100 top athletes in their sport, and none of them will say, I went to all the parties, birthdays, proms, and this. No, you sacrifice. So no, it's almost like, have you seen this image of like where it's like a little
The
like a little ice
iceberg.
on the top, but that is
Yeah.
yeah.
The iceberg from yeah,
What
yeah, yeah.
what goes behind the scenes is so much work
It's
and
a lot.
dedication because people now see you on your social media, your trophies and stuff, but they don't see how when
Yes.
you're down, how you feel, how much work you're putting, all the 3 practices a day you do. Not
Yeah.
everybody's willing to do that sacrifice.
For sure.
So that's
I
why
mean,
some will be
I missed my own graduation, 2 graduations actually, I miss my prom. I miss all of this because, like you're saying, I miss all, like in Egypt, weekends are Friday, Saturday. So Thursday night is like Friday night here. I never went out with my friends on Thursday nights because that was on court practicing until 9 p.m. Uh, but I think this is where mental toughness comes in as well. And back to your question of everyone wants to win, this is pressure. I've found joy in that. Some people, this is not their happiness, and you cannot blame them for that. I mean, life, there's a lot of things to do in life, but I knew from a very young age that whatever I want to do, I want to be the best in it. And that was the question before going pro. Am I gonna be war number one? If I'm not gonna be war number, if I'm gonna only be war number two, no, I don't want to do it. Again,
That's the
many
mindset you
people
have.
would say, yeah, I know, many people would say this is, you're gonna get burnt out, blah, blah, blah. I understand all of this, but this is how I function. Like, even in school, if I'm gonna study, I need to be an A student. I cannot be a B student. Even being a wife, I try as much as I can to do the proper things. So it's hard, and it's time consuming, and it takes a lot. But that's why you always have priorities in life. That's why I say, and
You cannot have it
priorities
all.
change.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they change. Obviously, in a couple of years, you want to have a family. Like, all the time, priorities change. But when you're doing the thing, I've always been someone that wants to succeed and be the best in what they do. So this is where I find happiness, I think, being successful.
And also
Yeah.
being challenged. You like the challenge.
Yes.
That
That's
keeps
what
you
my
moving.
dad always told me that. My dad and my mom, they're like, if there is like an easy path, no, you want to go around the mountains and go up. You can reach the ceiling. I find joy in challenges as well.
But
Like, this
they,
is another thing.
but that is very interesting because I'm gonna tell you something. I can speak to any person about anything, whether they're an athlete or not.
Yeah.
But I don't get lazy people. I don't get people who don't like challenges and who are like, oh, challenge, goodbye. Like, but
Yeah.
then you're asking, oh, but how do you do this? But well, you gotta challenge yourself to grow,
Yes.
to get
To
better.
grow. Yes.
So I remember a crazy thing is like I learned how to put tile on our laundry because I want to learn how to put tile. So I'm in the store and I'm buying a tile. I'm buying whatever they tell me I need to buy.
Yeah.
This guy in the store is like, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I'm like, "Don't figure this out."
I figured it out.
So I figured it out and I went back to the store a couple weeks later and I showed him the picture what I did. And my husband helped me a little bit, right? And he's
Yeah.
like, you actually did it? And I'm like, if you don't challenge yourself to grow, I love
Yeah.
the challenge. That's how I was always in
Yeah.
fencing. But there was certain parts that I had to stop with it because I knew that I'm not gonna be number one, as you said. There was a time
Yes.
where I try to get as much as I can, and sometimes it's a wrong time, it's a wrong place, it's a lot of things don't align. I have just as much love for the sport that I had when I was an athlete, and I realize now I'm enjoying it, I think, even more because I'm helping kids who've been in my position. Like, I had this video that I researched before I posted that only 1% or less than 1% of the athletes will reach Olympic medal, world medal. And I was
Exactly.
part of the 99 that we didn't. And I
Yeah.
wanna speak to the bigger audience, like, it's gonna be okay life after this one.
And you're still a great person, and you succeeded, and you're number one in coaching. And like, that's why I say, like, if this path you're not succeeding in it, there is million of other paths. And again, when you look at the athletes, oh, he's number one, he's great, he's enjoying. Yeah, but in other aspects of life, he's zero. He's not even on the picture. So so and it's just an equation of life, and life is fair. And at the end of the day, if you see the bigger
Yes,
picture, it's fair. But
yes,
again, it depends on, like you just said, like timing, also capabilities, and abilities. Sometimes the kids, they don't have this ability. Like, I have two other brothers, so actually my youngest brother has started playing on the professional tour now. So it's so funny, like, my mom was very harsh in discipline and all of this when I was young. Now it's so funny, like, I always try to tell her, like, come tell me some comments like when you used to like how you used to do it when I was younger. She's like, I'm retired. I'm retired from squash. She put so much effort in that so that my younger brother, the middle one, when he started playing, she didn't put the same effort, not because she didn't want to, but he couldn't. I think that he's a very smart boy. Like he studied engineering. He's into coaching actually now, but she knew that he wouldn't sustain pressure. This is not him. Like some people they can work under pressure, some people they cannot.
Hmm.
My youngest brother, he's not actually in a way he's like me, but character wise, he's more he wants to party, he wants to have a life, he wants to social life is important for him, which is very important as well. I'm not saying it's not,
Yes,
but
yes.
his priorities were different. When he turned 22, he's like, okay, and he's super talented in squash. So you would see it's a shame that he's not putting in the effort, like, and now he's becoming very disciplined. It's just like you're saying, timing,
Timing
and
is
you cannot
everything.
push him. So it's abilities and timing. And now he's like playing on the circuit, starting to win tournaments, but it's his timing. Like if he was 9 years old and my mom was like pushing, 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 he would be like he at 22 he would be hating it. He doesn't want to do it. So and that's another thing that I think people need to realize. You need to understand the abilities of your kids. Not everyone is built. We always, me and Ziad, we always talk about this. Like you can have a player that has some talent, but doesn't have the character of a champion. Champions are they have the character in them. Like there's stuff that you cannot teach. You cannot teach determination. You cannot teach passion. You cannot. These are things that are not teachable. So when a kid comes and the parents are trying very hard, but the kid doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. What can we do about it? Like yes, you can teach technical stuff. You can teach tactics, but you cannot teach character. And you can see it from a very young age. You can know if this kid wants it or he doesn't want to, because again he's not gonna be willing to do the hard work. He's not gonna, because again he's not, because he's not, it's not because he's bad, it's not, he doesn't know how, he's not functioning that way, I
It's
think.
not. It's not kind of built that way. I had this conversation with some of the girls in the club. It was a couple weeks ago, I think. So they're trying to have their A game on the tournament, but when they're practicing, they're just kind of playing around and this and that. And I'm like, let's be real. I'm gonna be very real with you. In my mind, I'm now the coach. If I dress up to fence with you, my goal is to destroy you because I'm
Yes.
a competitor now.
Yeah.
And unless you understand that mindset and mind shift, you're never going to be able to perform on tournaments in your A game because you don't practice like that.
Yes.
Because when we go to tournaments, you have the pressure, you have whatever headache, you have the sun is too bright, whatever excuses
Exactly.
you're going to have. And that's why like some kids don't understand like how serious it is. Like you go on the strip and it's a war. You don't have friends, you just have your opponent. And that was my mindset have always been. And then the other struggle that I had, and now I'm kind of trying to teach others, is about when you lose and when the points are not going your way. I was just acting extremely like disrespectful, and I was always ashamed of myself and apologizing out
Yeah.
loud. And that is something, the other thing that we gotta teach our athletes. How do
Yes.
you handle that, like during the match when some points don't go your way and you inside you're like completely like sad?
Actually, funny enough, like you said, practice. I usually practice with guys, so I would be like we would be destroying each other. It would be like if someone is refing the match, he would be having the hardest time of his life, and then if I lose, I would like in your mind thinking he's not my competitor in tournaments, right? But I hate losing, like even in board games and stuff. Like, and I would come back and the other's like, when I enter the house, he knows like if I lost the match today or not. Like, usually my training schedule is like I train in the morning fitness and with my coach, and then I go back rest a bit, and then I have a practice match. So it's like 5 gamers, like a tournament and stuff. But then because I get out all the anger and everything, when I go into matches, they always say this comment, I have a poker face. I don't show a lot of emotions. Like I don't show happiness, I don't show sadness, I don't show anything. And obviously, again, some matches it just goes
Mhm.
away. Like obviously, I'm not saying that I'm being perfect every single time. We're human. At the end of the day, some days I lose it with the ref. Some days but if we do a percentage, I didn't like if I played 1,000 matches, maybe I lost it in five, six, 7 matches. But other than that, I would be very like neutral, like nothing, no emotions whatsoever. Um, and I feel like emotions in general, good or bad, show weakness. It shows weakness to your opponent. At the end of the day, your opponents, you're gonna play again. It's not the final tournament that you're gonna play. And you don't wanna show, like, if they see you very sad and very angry, they know they got you. And they know that, and it's a mental war. It's, you wanna destroy your opponent mentally before anything else is easier after that. But imagine, like, if you have someone that is very good but their mental like game is completely destroyed, then their abilities goes down by 50%, 60%. So I feel like you don't want to give away that. And when you're too happy as well, it shows that you didn't believe that you can win this match. So then they would understand that next time, okay, they still don't believe that they're as good as you are. So I feel like emotions in sports should be for yourself and for your team and your entourage. Don't not expose as much as you can. Obviously, I'm not saying like when I won the world championship, I cried, I threw myself on the floor. Obviously, but if every single match I'm doing this, then I'm showing weakness.
I agree, and I'm trying to explain to the kids like when I can read your body language the moment you step on the strip to face me, or any athlete like that I watch, because I love observing the body language.
Yeah.
And I always tell the kids is like the best athletes are the best actors, which means
Yes.
you pretend everything is fine even though everything is completely falling apart, because the
Mm.
moment you show a crack to the opponent, that's when their confidence goes here and your confidence goes back.
Yes.
So you always want to be on top of it no matter what happens, because even when they score the point, you want them to question themselves because of your
Especially
body
in
language.
fencing, because it's a very quick sport. There's no time to like hesitate or think about it twice. I mean, it's just crazy. I feel sorry for you, but when I watch, I'm like dying. Like every single time when Ziad is like fencing, I'm like on the floor. Like it's very hard. Like
Yeah, you have like a couple seconds between the points to figure it
yeah,
out.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also it's certain mindset for 5 points and certain for 15. And it's like
Yes,
it's constant battle, everybody with everything. But
yes.
I mean, we chose it, and sometimes, you love what you do, and sometimes you're like, why am I
No,
doing
no,
this?
it's an amazing game, but I mean the mental side of it. Like they always say, squash, you need a lot of mental. There is a lot of mental game, which I agree. But I think fencing is even more because the quicker or the points are very quick. There is a lot of parameters to deal with. You need to deal with the ref. You need to deal with your opponent. You need to deal. So again, when you get a bad call, how do you just switch off and then think about it? Don't feel like, oh, I got a bad call. You feel sorry about yourself. Then 5 points are away in like a blink of an eye. So I feel like this switch is very important to
Yeah, and I
have.
think because for us, the saber, we have a lot of bad calls, and you
Yeah.
cannot do anything about it.
Yeah.
Compared to, I don't know how it's in squash. Do you guys have video review? Do you guys have that?
We have, but at some point, it got very messy, and you didn't understand the calls at all because the refs were trying to take another trajectory to make it more understandable for the public, for the people that don't really watch squash. So even at some point, Zed was making fun of it. He's like, "You getting worse than the saber refereeing." Like it was a joke. Like, but now it's getting better. We have the video referee, but we're playing 5 games. Every game is the 11 points. So best of 5. So you can the first
Mhm.
that gets 3 games. But then in those like it's like an hour or so, you only get 2 videos. So it's not a lot. Like it's not like every single time. So yeah.
Do you have any rituals or things you like to do before you compete?
On the day of the competition, or yeah, for sure. So our tournament is a bit different than fencing. We're a bit like tennis, for example. We start round 64, and then you have one match per day, and in the early rounds you have rest days in between as well. So, for example, I started on round 64. I woke up at 8 a.m., had my breakfast, practice, came back. Like I have a certain routine. I would fix to it for the rest of the tournament. Like same time, same people, same everything, same meal, same everything. Uh, it's out of being in my comfort zone, and that's something that is very important for, like, I always talk to my mental coach about it, and he one of the things that he teach the kids that he work with is that, but he was like, you already have the, but I I started implementing that without even knowing that it has a mental effect after or something. I just feel comfortable doing this. So usually what I do is I like to wake up very early before anyone else. Like I like to wake up at 6:30, pray, and then go to my practice, early practice, 7 a.m., and then come back, have breakfast. And then I would talk with my coach a bit about the game plan, what we're gonna do, watch a bit of videos, and then go to my room, rest, nap for an hour and a half, have my lunch, and then wake up. And then after lunch, I would prepare my stuff, pray again, go get coffee, talk to my coach and my mental coach, like my squash coach and my mental coach, but like just for 5 minutes to refresh my mind of what I need to do. And then the hour or the hour and a half before the match, no one talks to me. I just have my AirPods on. I'm just focusing on my what I need to do, and then I start warming up 45 minutes before the match, and then play the match, recovery after, so I cool down on the bike, and then get my physiotherapist to do some massage treatment, ice bath, eat dinner, and then sleep on to the next one. So that's basically everything that I do on a
I
day.
always tell the kids that they need to have a routine that works for
Yes.
them, and also what works for some, it may not works for
Yes.
others. And I always see the mistake that they're doing is like always trying something new during the day of the tournament, whether it's
Mhm.
new food, whether it's something new. And I was like, when they have their greatest tournament, and I'm always telling them, write down every single thing you have done. I don't care if it's the how much water you had, how much, what did you listen, and all these kind of things, because they make a difference. They don't do
Yes.
this. They go to the next tournament, and it's a completely like, Coach Stetsi, can you tell me what I did? I don't know what you ate. I have so many athletes to think about. But also the other thing, I was literally explaining to the parents, if you want your kids to get electrolytes during the tournament, which is great
Yeah.
because of hydration and we have a
Yeah.
long time,
But
don't
then,
get
yeah.
them drink it only for the tournament because you don't know how they're gonna feel about it.
Yes, because
Like
it can be too sugary, the flavor they don't
absolutely.
like,
And
I
the
have
other the
certain
other
flavors, like, I can never change my flavors as well.
do you drink electrolytes during the
Yeah,
tournament?
yeah, for
What
sure,
flavor do
yeah.
you like?
So, I like fruit punch and, anything red, actually, but mainly fruit punch and raspberry. That's the
Yeah,
main,
I
like,
like
I
the
don't like
colors too.
the orange. I hate orange. Lime, I can have it, but I will have it more in practice, not but in matches, usually. So, you know, the big pack where it has all the flavors, I pick the fruit punches one, and these
Yeah.
are the one for the tournament. The other one, I can have it in training. It's
Yeah,
fine, but
so I'm kind of the same because in the club I get this like the raspberry and the pinkish one, and
yeah.
everybody's like, "What are you drinking?" I'm like, "Electrolytes." I don't make them colors. I mean, that's how they come. But that is a big deal to do the same thing you do at practice to do at performing. And
Yes.
the other big issue is, let's say you play with certain racket on the practice and completely different on competing. That doesn't
But
make
how,
sense.
you know, yeah, 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 for sure. I actually, to this point, I grip the color of the grips. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Like, I have it in orange in every single tournament you see. It's orange. It's gripped the same way. Actually, fun fact, my mom is the one who grips it for me. And I have the strings in a certain way, orange as well. Like, it's very organized. Like, yeah,
But do you see, like I hope everybody hears how important is everything, because all those little pieces are making the puzzle of the
yes.
finished product, finished not product, but like your goal and everything else. I'm very curious. What are your favorite exercises when you do with your training? In which are the least favorite, but you know they're important?
uh, Okay, so I love, so in the off season we get the time to like build stamina and stuff. So in general I like running, but long distance, like endurance running. But squash, obviously, it's important for squash, but during the season, you don't do much of that because it's not really sport specific. So I hate more like the sprints and like the short distance things. I'm not great at it. And also, funny enough, anything like coordination and agility, I'm not the best in it, but I need to do it. So I do this with Ziad actually a lot because he's much better in it. So I try to get better at that. Um, I what To be honest, the thing is that there is not a certain thing that I hate, since I know that I'm not. If I hate, it means that I'm not doing it well, and if I'm not doing it well, I will keep on doing it until I'm good at it. So there's nothing that I really hate. But in the past, I was a very weak, like I wouldn't like lift weights and stuff like that. So, but my trainer like really pushed me to do it. So I would sometimes hate like doing split squats with the front rack, like heavy, like maybe 150 pounds and stuff like that. So it's not cool. But now, because I feel the effect after that, it makes me more explosive and thing. So I love it now, and I'm getting much better at it. But 2 3 years ago, I would hate like weights, like lifting heavy weights. Like I would lift normal weights, but now I'm lifting even heavier. So I think this was a big change in how I train as well.
Yeah, that's interesting because sometimes we tell the kids, okay, we gotta get the same result. What other exercise we can do that you like?
Yeah.
But if you like the challenge, you're gonna be like, okay, I gotta focus on the benefits of it and
Yes.
just push through it. Of course, you're not gonna love every single thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you and Ziad El-Sissy, for the people that don't know, are married, and he's one of the best saber fencers in the world. And first question is, how did you guys meet?
So we actually met through sports because in Egypt, I don't know in other countries, but in Egypt, you're kind of, if you're good at your sports, you kind of know the other athletes. They do like meetings, like sports meetings and stuff like that. Fun fact: my when I was young, when I started playing squash, my fitness trainer was a foil coach. So he wanted, so he wanted me to get into fencing. Every single session, he would train me for squash fitness, but he would every single time tell me, and at that time, squash wasn't an Olympic sport. He would tell me, "Your commitment can make you a great Olympian, and you can go to the Olympics. I will get you a medal." Blah blah. I'm like, I don't want to get into fencing. I'm happy with squash. Leave me alone. And destiny, I marry a fencer at the end.
This is so funny.
Yeah, yeah. So Ziad's best friend, actually, I knew him since a young age because we were training with the same coach. And then we met once, but we weren't really talking. And then during COVID, we started talking. I think we had a lot of free time to talk, so we did talk a bit. And then he was in the U.S. and I was in Egypt. I was still studying. I was doing my thesis project in university, and then one day he surprised me, came back to Egypt, and then it started there. Like, yeah, yeah,
Knowing him and seeing some of your videos when you're playing, there's so much similarities in you guys in your poker face. I can
oh,
say
really?
for sure, yes, because we watch a lot of course fencing, and
Yeah,
and we've always, for the longest time, we've always been amazed with his body language, his face, like when he's on the strip, it's almost like it's a game on. Like, does it make
yeah,
sense?
yeah,
So
yeah,
so I feel like two of you are complementing each other so great. Like, I love the sports couples because, from my experience,
yeah,
I feel like you guys are helping each other because you understand each other. You understand what each other is going through when you have a tough loss or when he has a tough
yes,
loss. You know how much can you talk, how much further can you go, how much space to give him, and all these things. And I remember when I was younger, we always had the saying of like the opposites attract. And for the
yeah,
longest time, I believed in that until I had the wrong relationship. And that's why I always say, how is that making sense? For instance, if you are married to, somebody that is engineering, is not into sports,
yes,
you don't have much in common.
yes, yes.
So how would that
I
person
understand.
understand you? And it's like, it's a very interesting relationship. So for me, it's like, I always feel like the sports marriages or whatever field you are,
Yes.
those work the best because you get each other.
Yes, so since I was very young, I always liked life balance in general. like my parents always told me like sports is important, but your studies are important. Everything, family is important. So I knew that I didn't want to marry a squash player from the first day, because I didn't want to go back talk about squash and him talking about squash, because it's the most common thing between us, and I didn't want to have this life. But I never thought about marrying a sports guy. And when I met Ziad and then we started talking, as you're just saying, we had the same mentality actually. Ziad is studied engineering as well. I did as well, because we had the same idea that life balance is important, sports is important. And obviously, him being, he's not just a sports guy, he's one of the best fencers in the world. He understands. And it's so much easier to talk to him than, because you're not trying to explain yourself, you're not trying to explain what you're going through. He gets it, like
He
he sees
feels
it,
it.
he
He
gets it.
feels
Yeah,
you.
he feels you. And I feel like, again, it has nothing bad to do with other people, but other people wouldn't get it. They want to help you as much as they can. Sometimes they're trying to be too pushy, or they're not, or they're trying to give you your space, but that's not what you need. You need someone to talk to you. So they don't really understand. So I feel like the only two people that can understand is your parents, and obviously your coach, but in family wise, your parents, and someone that was an athlete himself, and not any athlete at a high level like he did. So for example, I'm a much bad loser than he is in terms of dealing with losses afterwards. Like, you wouldn't talk to me for 4 or 5 days in the past. Like, where's Nouran? She disappears. And losing in the final, like, it's still a great achievement. So he was like, he would laugh about it. He's like, if I get second place, I would be like jumping all over the place. But he gave me perspective, because for me it's only and always about one. The number one. That's all. If I'm two, then I'm a failure. And it's not true. It's, in
It's
a
not.
way, it's not true. It's a process. Yeah, you can be two so that you understand, so that you be a more solid one. That doesn't mean a failure. And he was much better at dealing with losses, to be honest, and I did learn that from him. So now it's like, I'm not still smiling after I lose, but I'm like, okay, we might eat today. The problem is, it's
Yeah.
not only affecting me, it's affecting everyone around. It's like everyone is grieving. Like, if someone died, like, for 5 days, my dad, my mom, Ziad, they cannot talk, they cannot laugh, they cannot do anything. So
They
it
cannot
was,
even breathe because that bothers you.
exactly. They're like, so, and the other one was laughing about. He told me like, listen, like, I play, you play sports. If I lose and you lose, you play 12 tournaments a year. I do the same. That's gonna be like 240 days. Only sadness. We cannot live a life like this, and it was true. And like, so you see another perspective, I feel, and it makes you more relaxed in other aspects as well.
Absolutely. I so for us with Chris is like, because he's saver, I'm saver, believe it
Yeah.
or not. Sometimes the people are like, you guys need to go on a date after practice.
Yes.
I was like,
You still
why
talk
we talk
about
about
fencing.
fencing? I don't want to spend the money on a day where he's gonna, I mean, sometimes I'm like, let's talk about gardening or something. I just don't want to talk about fencing. Even though you love the sport so much, but there is so much sometimes that you
Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
we need to kind of, push a little
Oh,
bit.
it's so funny. He got into squash at some point, and he would give me tips in squash. I was like, yeah, just sit aside now. Like, at home, sometimes we have like patches where it's all about squash. Like, squash matches will be on TV all around the living room, and he would be watching. You would be like really keen on watching. Like, there's certain tournaments that I don't play, but players are still playing. I would do the same. Fencing would be on TV, like European Championships or something. It will be on the TV. So I mean, it's good
It's a
to
good
have the
dynamic.
difference. It's a good to have the difference in sport, that it's not the same sport, but yet it's the same core.
Absolutely. And it's so I honestly I feel you guys are so blessed also the fact that your family is in the sports and being at a high level. So they'll
Yeah.
always be there and understand what you're gonna go through and tell you it's not gonna be the end of the world if it doesn't go your way.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're a role model for many, many women, not only in the squash, but I feel honestly like we all need those role models. What does that mean to you? Have you ever thought about how much impactful you are for us?
No, I feel, for sure, I feel honored. Like, when you're going through your journey, or at least myself, you don't really see this part, because I always say the moment where you think of how amazing you're doing or how amazing your achievements look like is the moment where you're gonna start failing, or it's the downside of it. You always need to have this hunger, and you're like, no, I need more, I need more. But obviously, I think stepping back and looking back at w- hopefully what I did and my career and the impact that it had on young girls, especially, hopefully I will be very proud of it. But I always say it like obviously winning tournaments gives me so much satisfaction, and makes me feel a lot of joy and everything. But when a young girl comes to me and she's like, you inspire me so much, it's because of you that I started playing, or because I could relate to you, because I started when I was 9 years old, like you. Or I didn't want to go to engineering because they said it would be hard to balance, but I decided to do that because you did it and you succeeded. This is for me 10 times more satisfying than anything else in the world. Like, seriously, like, I feel, especially girls, like, obviously boys as well. I love
Absolutely.
boys, but I mean, like, just having someone that you can relate to is very, very big, because I had the same, like, I had an idol that I was looking up to. Like, you need to have someone that you're looking up to so that it can make your life easier, or it can make it relatable, so that you can believe that you can get there. And a lot of the big athletes, like, I was always inspired by, for example, Serena Williams when I was younger, or Michael Phillips. They inspire millions of people that are not even Americans, that from Egypt, and it's very powerful. Like, sports is a very powerful tool, and it's not only about sports; it's about a life changing for some kids. So I feel, obviously, if I can even inspire only 10 girls, I'll be very happy. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be very, very happy for sure.
So how do you stay humble? Because I do know, like, some people, when they achieve a lot, they're kind of feeling like, I'm on the next level. I don't need to kind of speak to this and that. And how do you stay kind of grounded and not kind of.
It's the same answer. Like, uh, I don't see why you shouldn't be humble. Like, I don't see the other. I don't see why people should feel that they're extraordinary or whatever it is. Why would you make people hate you for nothing? I feel like being humble again, because if you're arrogant, then you're gonna be arrogant on losses. Then you're gonna be, I'm too good for this. You will never improve. You will never listen to your coach. You'll never. It comes with other traits. So I feel like being humble, like most of the athletes that achieve big things, if you talk to them one on one, you will always feel humility. You will always feel they're down to earth. You'll always feel. Uh, Obviously, they cannot talk to every single person because it's a lot to do. But their entourage, they will always not be someone that is sassy or like seeing that they're the best in the world. Like, the moment again that you see yourself the best in the world, it's the moment you're gonna get to like a downfall.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always think about it, like, as a coach now, and the kids are achieving great success, but I always tell the kids, even the fencers, like, today I want to be better coach than I was yesterday. It's
Yes.
never good enough. It's never like you might have won everything. I'm sure that there's something I got to improve on, and I have to get better. But this is the same time being a wife, being a mom, or whatever that your role is, or a daughter. Um, how was your mindset before you become the best in the world versus now? Is there any difference, you think?
Yes. So, I always wanted to get to world number one, obviously, no secret for them. Like, I had actually a paper hang on my wall, written on it, one day I'll become world number one. So, and surprisingly, world number one, not world champion for some reason. And I got to world number one before winning the world championship. So I got to world number one when I was 22, maybe. Yeah. And then I dropped to number two for a couple of months, and then I got back to world number one. It was different phases, so I got back to world number one until I got injured, bad injury, and I had to stop for 6 months completely. I had like tear in my plantar fascia, 9 millimeters. So it was a big tear. Like I couldn't walk for almost 3 4 months. I was in a boot, and it was a
Mentally, it
very
was hard,
painful.
right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a very, because I was playing at my best at that time too. And at that point, I didn't win a world. I won every single thing on the tour except the world championship, and obviously that was a dream of mine since I was little. And I got back on tour in March, and the world championship was in May. And at that time, I wasn't on the list that I might be a contender, because like I've been stopping for 6 7 months. I was out, and then I won it. Yeah, so that was quite an emotional week for me and everything. But since the injury, so I'm talking about the story because I had phases. So obviously, the first time I got to world number one, I think I was more results oriented than anything else. After that, when I got there and then I lost it, I felt like, no, I need to improve as a player. I have a lot of things missing. I have a lot of things that other players can attack me, and they. So when I started thinking that way, it was more performance oriented, not results oriented. And I always thought, if I want to be the best player in the world, I need to improve my version every single day. Because if I keep my same virgin, they're studying me. You are the only hunted player at that time. You're not hunting anyone anymore. And it's very hard because you need to challenge yourself daily. But if there is someone above you, it's easier. You see, okay, that's the target. But when you're the number one, it's like, where's the target now? You need to find the target. So, and my target, and my coach helped me big time. My squash coach helped me. It was very like performance oriented. Okay, you need to, which is harder actually. Like it's easier to have a tangible target, but when it's just the, okay, I need to improve this technique or play this shot better, or it's harder to visualize it. That's one thing. So when I had my injury, and I just took 2 steps back, 10 steps back, and sat down. I was literally watching every single match on TV, sitting there, couldn't do anything. But I found joy actually in that. I was like, I became a huge squash fan. Until that point, before that point, I would hate watching squash matches. I would finish squash, I would be like, that's enough for today. I don't want to talk about squash. I don't want to see. At that point, I became a huge squash fan, even watching like NC, like we call it college squash matches. So it's like NCAA's, like it's like not even professional matches. I would learn from every single player. So from watching, I learned that you can learn a lot. You can actually improve by watching, if you really want to learn. And I dropped obviously in the rankings, so at that point, pressure was lower. And people don't realize pressure gets into you, even if you're saying, no, I'm not pressure. No, pressure gets into you. And I felt at that point, I was very relaxed on court. I could really express myself freely. I had nothing to lose. My shoulders went down. The ranking was out. There's nothing that I need to defend. There's nothing that I need to prove. I just want to play for playing right now. I want to see where my level is at. So I remember when I got back on court after 6 months out, the first session was so enjoyable with my coach. I called my mom. I was like, "Oh, I can go back and forth in the court." I was very happy. It was like an achievement for me. Whereas when you're doing this every day, you're not seeing the achievement of it. So when you're in a downfall, actually the good thing about it is anything you're gonna do is gonna be an achievement in itself, and the feeling of achieving in itself is nice. So I felt like this phase or this period of life helped me in to change completely my perspective, that it's okay to slow down at some point. It's okay, obviously. It wasn't my choice to slow down when I got injured, but I think God gave me the right time to slow it down because I needed it. I was completely burnt out at that time. I
At
was
the
completely
moment,
out.
yeah, at the moment you don't know why, but that's why I always say the joy of the journey, because our life is full of journeys and you got to
Yes.
find the joy in everything. So
Mm.
you finally find the joy of like actually not competing in the worst possible scenario for an athlete,
Yeah,
and that kind of made you rethink about like, let me enjoy the sport in a different way, so you have more
exactly.
health, like better and healthier relationship with between you and the
Exactly.
sport. That's
Exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, because people don't see it, but it's a lot of up and down. Like you're never like always up. And some tournaments, you would be competing, and that's the last place you want to be in. Some other tournaments, you're like you look like you're great, but you have no idea what this athlete is going through. So I think it's a very challenging job, like, to have, for sure.
What is your goal next? I mean, I kind of know, but I want to hear it from you.
No, obviously the Olympics is the goal. I think I joked with my mental coach about it, because if it wasn't the Olympics, it would be a bit hard to find motivation, because after you achieve things. Obviously, you want to break records. You want to, like, for example, the most person that won the U.S. Open was 3 times. So when I won 4 times, it was a good record to have. British Open 3 times. You want to break that record. You want to win even more. Uh, so there's always like records that you want to break, but you need to have a big goal, like, in life. Like, so obviously world number one, world champion is always something on the list. When you check this list, okay, what's next now? What
Hmm.
can I do? So it came out of the blue, and actually, I was chosen as the athlete representative to, like, talk to the LA 28 committee for the presentation and everything. So I was kind of part of the process, which was an amazing experience. And we did that in October 2023 in Comcast, actually, in Philly. And it felt amazing to talk about your sport to people that, obviously, great athletes, several times gold medalists, and to showcase that your sport is one of the best sports out there and it deserves to be in the Olympics was a huge honor for me. Funny enough, the presentation was a week before I won my third US Open, so it was all in all a great time. But then we only knew the response a year later, when I was injured, actually. So I was at home, couldn't move, and then we got the news, squash is into the Olympics, and then I'm like, okay. And I didn't win the World Championship at that time, so I'm like, okay, now two goals, World Championship and Olympics. Uh, and now, yeah, that's the biggest goal for sure. And but again, I know that it can be, again, a very stressful period, and you want it to be more. Stress is there, like, you cannot get away of stress, but if you can make it less and more enjoyable, that's the whole point of it, so that you can perform. That's the thing. At the end of the day, we're like dancers, like, you need to perform, you need to express yourself. So if you're too stressed, it's not possible to get the best performance out. uh, and 3 years, it looks like a long time, but it's not really a long time. So you need to have smaller goals during the season to be able to achieve the goal. And in squash, for example, we're a bit unlucky that it's only 16 players that are going to be selected. So it's not a big quota, so you need, and selection sometimes can be very unfair. You need to be healthy, make sure your body doesn't get injured, because, again, maybe you're the best player in the world, but at that time you got injured and you're just out. So again, I feel Olympics is very important, but obviously, it's not the end of the world. Like, there's other things that you need to have set goals during, just before that, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's very important for you to have this mindset of like, it's not like, okay, it's only the Olympics or nothing,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, a lot of people will be disappointed.
Yes,
And you want to
yes.
put it like, yeah, it's a goal, but if it doesn't work, my life is still going to be great. I'm
Yes,
still doing
exactly.
great. And so,
Exactly.
so you don't have that, what if this happens? And I always tell the
Yes.
kids sometimes, nobody's going to die. Your parents are still your parents. Everything
Yes,
is going to be
yes.
fine. So you kind of reduce this pressure. Um, what do you want to be known for?
Perseverance and determination. Always. That's two things that I like. When Nouran comes in, I always like to be known for that I was a very determined person. I was very perseverant, and I always wanted to. I was always giving my 100% effort every single time I would step on court, even if I'm injured. Even that's how I want to be remembered, for sure.
So I will add at the end. So I had this conversation with your husband Ziad before I met you on FaceTime. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was sitting with him. We were in the tournament coaching. We had a little break, and I was like, tell me about your wife. Like, tell me about how is she doing this? And I remember he's so proud of you. He towards me, he's like, Tetsy, I've never seen or met somebody so determined. So like when she's on. The practices, the waking up on time. She doesn't have excuses of like, I don't feel this. It's like, and I feel like it's so beautiful because you guys are inspire each other so much, and that makes the
Mhm.
relationship even better because it's a friendship and relationship, and it's all those kind of things. But the way he spoke about you, because I was like, she had got something that not many people have. What is the secret? And he said it. He
What does
said
she eat?
the discipline and everything. And it's like that's what everybody wants in an athlete, like the discipline and the sacrifices and the determination. And that's I think you inspire him a lot, and that's great.
He does the same, to be honest. To be honest, sometimes it gets hard because you want to succeed, and we're very stubborn people too. I feel
Yes,
like in order to succeed, you need to be a bit stubborn, obviously to a certain limit.
absolutely.
So it can get in the way sometimes, but we get things done at the end. So
But we like those personalities because I was talking to Chris one day, you have your crazy, I have my crazy, but we're
yes,
meeting at different times sometimes,
yes,
which is
yes,
fine. I
yes,
think you're not gonna like somebody who is not like kind of bugging you a little bit,
yes,
like,
yes.
you know what I mean? So, Nouran, I want to tell you, I mean, I appreciate so much your time spent with me
Thank
and
you.
everybody who's gonna listen to the podcast or watch the video. There's so much incredible information for any athlete or any person who wants to be successful and how to have this healthy relationship with the sport or everything they do in life. And you're an incredible role model. And I know
Thank you.
you're gonna be a guest again. I'm gonna see when. Yeah, but I really appreciate you and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you.